Hi, this is Erin from Blossy Bee. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to finish off some mini art pieces made in the previous two videos. This is part 3 of a 3-part series, and ideally you would have already watched videos 1 and 2. In video 1 we took some timber pieces and used nail polish and paints to give a nice background for them. And then in video number 2 we took some silicone stamps and inks and started laying out our patterns, and then using watercolored pencils to create our design. And then in this video we're going to start embellishing and finishing off. I hope you enjoy. So for this third video in the series, I was very excited to be able to get my Posca pens out. I love my Posca markers and I find them so handy for a variety of different crafts. And in this case, I'm going to use them to create a nice edge around each of the timber pieces. And I'm also choosing colours to fill in backgrounds and also add to different pieces. So I'm going to take the black marker first and just fill in the background of this particular one. This one is where the colours ran with the watercolour pencils because the surface hadn't been treated. And once I've finished this, I'm going to go ahead and work on the next one. Now, this one I'm going to go ahead and outline each of the leaf shapes that were made with the silicone stamp and ink. As I mentioned in the previous video, if I had a proper stamping station, I would be able to put this back into exactly the same position as previously, and I would have been able to re-stamp it. But I wouldn't risk it without that setup because just a millimetre or so off and you get quite smudged lines. This one I'm going in with a bronze coloured pen and just filling that in. The Posca pen paint markers just go on to pretty much any surface beautifully. Nice and easy to use. This one I was just pointing out that there's just a little bit of ink on the side there, and I do decide to go ahead and use a pencil for this one, and just to see if I can come up with a background colour that is, you know, helps the design stand out. I notice I'm keeping my colours in a very familiar palette here. I'm using sort of the green, the gold, and that black outline a little bit, and of course that pink and orange colour. So this one I decided not to add the paint effect to, that the last one I did there. I just left it as is. This one I'm going to go in again with a fine marker and try and colour in all around with a silver tone, and yes, the blob was real. So this happens when you're using paint pens sometimes, and I don't know why I still do it, but if you press down to get more ink you can run the risk of getting a blob. So all I did there was I just sort of tilted it to the side and it was able to just run off, which was fine. This one I'm doing something a little bit different with. I'm going in and giving it a purple glitter background. The Posca pens come in both the regular, metallic and glitter, and fluoro also. And so this one I'm doing in the glitter purple. then I do just take a very fine marker. This isn't a Posca pen, this is just an outline marker, and try and go over the edge of these particular leaves. The problem is when you're working on a surface like this, which has already got a colour all over it, you'll find that the markers don't always flow, and this was the problem I was having. It just wasn't really working, but I kept going. That's what I'm doing when you see me put the pen off to the side a little bit. I'm literally just running it over a piece of paper, trying to restart it every time. Not the most successful thing I've ever done. So after doing this, I then choose 4 of the 8 pieces to go ahead and work further with. These are ones that I think might become either nice fridge magnets, or they could possibly become pendants, or part of some other project. I'm really not sure. But what I do is I go ahead and use a UV resin hard, and I've had that sitting in a bath of warm water just to help with the cold weather that we're experiencing in Tasmania at the moment. And then I'm going to just squeeze it out onto each of the pieces and move it around to the edges. If you didn't want to use UV or epoxy resin for this project, you would still get a really lovely finish if you used a clear nail varnish, similar to the ones that I showed you in the first video in this series. You could also use a nail varnish which has a tint or a slight amount of glitter in it. You can also just spray as a clear varnish, or even use something like Mod Podge in either matte or shiny, and that would also give a really lovely coat. So I'm not sure if you can see, but I have gone around the outside of each of these with a Posca pen, either a contrasting or a complementary colour, just to sort of help them stand out a little bit. So after doing this to each of the 4 pieces, I'm going to go ahead and pop them under the UV lamp, and I'm doing that for 2 lots of 60 seconds, and that worked out perfectly for the size of these. And I am actually working in daylight here, and they didn't cure. So the UV must not have been very high at the time. I'm not a huge fan of UV resin. I find that it has such a strong odour, and that it doesn't give me as good a finish as epoxy resin. But for a project like this, it's fine. It gives you a very speedy result, and look, these turned out very glossy and bright. And I hope you've enjoyed watching this. I know 3 videos is a lot, but I really did want to spend those first couple of videos just chatting and, you know, as if I was crafting along with you. So I've set them out here in a couple of different patterns, and just showing you again how nicely they've turned out. They're not perfect, but as I said in the beginning, they are a very economical and easy craft project to work with, given that you're using the little timber squares and also materials that you may already have around the house, including the watercolour pencils, nail polishes, things like that. As we come to the end of this 3-part video series, I just wanted to thank you so much for your support and for watching along with me. If there are any projects that you would like to see me do, or if you have any suggestions or ideas on how we could, you know, work with similar items, please leave a comment below. I read all of the comments, and they encourage me to keep going so much. So thank you. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.